Remember Baxcalibur, the Ice and Dragon type Pokemon was indefinitely banned for its incredible offenses where it could snowball damage real quick, and with its speed being patched up with Scale Shot, it made this thing the most terrorizing phenom in the tier. So when the Indigo Disk was released and Kyurem, the other Ice and Dragon type, was put back into the game, it was speculated it could be Baxcalibur 2.0. Kyurem has Scale Shot, Icicle Spear, Dragon Dance, and is even faster than Baxcalibur. However, how has it failed to live up to those expectations, at least to Baxcalibur level dominant that is? I'm well aware this is still pretty good, yada yada yada. It's just in comparison to Baxcalibur. Before we answer this question, if you guys haven't already, be sure to subscribe for more competitive content as we are on the road to 20k. Again, thank you so much for the recent support. I honestly just can't believe it. It's been amazing, and let's get back to the video. Kyurem, to begin with, isn't as min-maxed offensively when we compare it to Baxcalibur. Now, 130 isn't awful, don't get me wrong, but most times than not, one of those attacking stats will be completely not used. Essentially, it is a base 530 Pokemon during battle most of the time. And let's think about Baxcalibur for a second. Why was it so good? Well, for starters, although I know it's neutral to begin with, Thermal Exchange allows it to boost its offenses even further against Fire-type Pokemon. In addition, Thermal Exchange allows for Baxcalibur to never be burned, which for a physical attacker means a lot. Not having your attack essentially halved midway throughout battle allows you to be physically dominant throughout battle, and an off of 145 base natural attacking stat, it makes it very scary on the offensive end once you realize that you can EV it to max. Kyurem's ability, on the other hand, is just like every other basic legendary ability of Pressure. Pressure is not better than Thermal Exchange, especially since this gives it leeway to be burned by other Pokemon such as Dragapult, so its Dragon Dance sets aren't as lethal as some might think, because they're easily able to put a stop to it with just a single Will-O-Wisp. In addition, Loaded Dice sets were the most famous on Baxcalibur sets at the tail end of its reign in OU, primarily because of Scale Shot, Dragon Dance, and Icicle Spear. Now, Kyurem in this generation has both Scale Shot and Icicle Spear alongside Dragon Dance, so in that aspect, it mirrors Baxcalibur because it essentially does the same snowball damage. However, Dragon and Ice are both convincingly walled by Steel-type Pokemon, both of which don't appreciate it. In Baxcalibur's case, it can bypass through it with obvious coverage in the move EQ, aka Earthquake, which is a powerful ground-type move that Steel-type Pokemon don't like to face one bit, as Steel types are weak to ground. Because of this, oftentimes Baxcalibur during the metagame was referred to a Pokemon with no weaknesses. It can't be burned, can't be completely walled, it had everything going for it and then some to this incredible pseudo-legendary. There was no obvious counter to it no matter which way you sliced it, especially during the OU metagame. Kyurem, on the other hand, had no physical ground type coverage. It has Earth Power on the special end, sure, but if Kyurem is going to be all physical, it doesn't make sense to suddenly be mixed. Being mixed means you have to sacrifice EVs either on this physical attack or speed to make up for the lack thereof of special attacking power because of your physically dominant move pool on your set. Already, Kyurem isn't as powerful as Baxcalibur, so making this decision can be pretty rough. While 95 base speed is relatively fast, it doesn't do much once a Steel-type Pokemon enters the field. Lack of coverage moves to handle Steel-type Pokemon in addition to having a worse ability is what makes Kyurem not as powerful as Baxcalibur on the offensive end. I mean, you could do Tera Ground, Tera Blast, and then avoid that issue as I talked about, but I don't know, that can be a bit too inconsistent and too Tera-aligned in my opinion. Something Baxcalibur wasn't, and was more flexible for its Tera to be defensive or offensive because of the perfect amount of coverage Game Freak gifted this Pokemon. Kyurem is just not Baxcalibur 2.0, and it's its own Pokemon by its own means, and even still not being Baxcalibur 2.0, it is still relatively strong within the tier, as it's still rated top 5 ability. I know, it sounds like I completely disregarded how good Kyurem is, but I was only saying this in relative to Baxcalibur. Kyurem, for what I've seen, makes better use of its special attacking sets, namely Choice Spec sets or Substitute sets. This Pokemon has way more on the special set to handle its weaknesses, and from there, it can get rid of the Steel-type wariness it has with its physical sets. Furthermore, on those subsets, Kyurem has a bulk to sit behind subs and annoy your opponent while it deals heavy damage with Ice Beam or Draco Meteor, etc. Behind the sub, it can do a lot of damage to Pokemon in the tier for super effective or neutral damage, which is what makes it very scary because you have to break the sub and then take care of it. Unless you have Infiltrator or something like Metagross against those subsets, this can be very painful because of the offensive pressure it can offer in return as it sits behind the sub. I've also seen Kyurem being able to abuse Veil Ninetales as it's able to definitely utilize him, and it increases bulk even further, kind of Baxcalibur-esque what Baxcalibur did during the Teal Mask DLC era. Sub is pretty common behind it, but Dragon Dance as well is pretty popular, as with the added bulk to an already bulky Pokemon, setting up can be a pain for your opponent to handle with. Kyurem has just way more flexibility on its sets than Baxcalibur, which is something I will give it credit for. Kyurem can be a sub Pokemon, can be physically dominant with Dragon Dance, or can be a flat out attacker in its choice variations, and also be a special attack. That a wide array of variations of sets is what makes it very deadly as well, because you don't know what you're dealing with until it's on the field and reveals what it is. For this reason, I could see it being banned in Generation 9 later down the road probably if this keeps up, similar to Generation 8 and how its sets were very unbearable and also unpredictable. Although as we speak, the hyper-offensive metagame might keep it out of the realm right now, as it does not favor hyper-offensive teams and more likely likes to take advantage of balanced metagames, because that's where it can really shine. Anyways, I'm rambling on a bit and you guys get the point. Kyurem is not Baxcalibur 2.0, but it is very powerful on its own merits. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Kyurem, and thank you to my members for their continued support. If you wish to support me even further, the links to my YouTube membership and Patreon are down below. Comment down below the snowflake emoji, join the Chompy Discord, and with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching as always.